The Trump administration vows the strike on Iran isn't about regime change. If only someone would have told this guy. This is just another day. Remember last week when Caroline Leavitt told the world that Donald Trump would make a decision on Iran in 2 weeks? Well, this weekend, the world found out that this president isn't too great with calendars.
We have breaking news now out of the Middle East. President Trump announced the U.S. has attacked 3 nuclear sites in Iran. In a post on Truth Social, he called the attack successful and says the planes are now outside of Iranian airspace. Mr. Trump went on to write, quote, "Now is the time for peace."
You know, I hear most countries are incredibly receptive to the suggestion of peace right after you've bombed the shit out of them. Kind of like how couples are typically in the mood to have sex right after someone admits they've had an affair. This weekend, Donald Trump ordered the military strike on 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities and subsequently dropped 12 bunker busters on the area. Now, while senior U.S. officials have said that the site was not completely destroyed, someone else apparently had different intel.
Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Wow, a rigged election and now rigged bombing intel. This guy just can't catch a break. But now that Iran's nuclear ambitions have been set back, destroyed, or simply delayed by some severe military tickling, the question becomes, what now?
So, is regime change off the table, Mr. Secretary? And to the chairman, you said the battle damage assessment is still ongoing, but do you believe that some nuclear capability in Iran remains?
This mission was not and has not been about regime change.
Phew, no regime change. Got it. For a second there, it seemed like Trump might want to do more than simply drop a few bombs and call it a day. But before we move on, I don't know, I've got this nagging feeling. Are we sure that this isn't about regime change?
This mission was a very precise mission. It had 3 objectives, 3 nuclear sites. It was not an attack on Iran. It was not an attack on the Iranian people. This wasn't a regime change move.
Ah, well, there you go. If Marco says it, it must be true. After all, other than all of his policy positions, he's never lied about anything. So we've got Hegseth, Rubio. It'd really feel a lot better if we can get at least just one more, rule of 3s, one more person on record to assure us that this totally, definitely is not about regime change.
Does the United States support Israel killing Iran's leader?
Well, look, that's up to the Israelis, but our view has been very clear that we don't want a regime change.
Sorry for asking again, but good that we got clarity. JD hates regime change more than he hates leaving the house without eyeliner. And to his credit, this is not a new position for JD Vance. Back when Biden was in office, he even tweeted Joe Biden went to Europe and advocated for a nuclear powers regime change, and then 10 minutes later his own White House had to contradict him. Seems like a big deal. Wow. That must have been so embarrassing for him, to be out of step with his own White House. Thank God that these 3 high-ranking Trump officials didn't suffer that same humiliation at the hands of Donald Trump.
The president is not ruling out a possible regime change in Iran.
Damn, I don't know what's more embarrassing. Having Trump be the kiss of death to your claims of consistency, or you being the kiss of death to the last pope. Tough call. But maybe even Trump's own threats of regime change were overblown.
The president just posted on Truth Social moments ago saying, quote, a ceasefire has been, quote, fully agreed to by Israel and Iran. There will be a complete and total ceasefire.
Wow, maybe we actually will have peace. Maybe he did it. Maybe we all spoke too soon. I just don't understand how skilled this deal maker really is.
Look, this is certainly a dynamic environment, right? We're trying to lower the temperature of global conflict while simultaneously kind of raising it here in order to lower it.
I guess so. Like how when you want to keep ice cream cold, the fastest way to do it is by putting it in the oven, because everybody knows that you lower the temperature by actually raising it first, which sheds some light on what Ayatollah Khomeini's latest statement must actually mean. Those who know the Iranian people and their history know that the Iranian nation isn't a nation that surrenders. See, guys? He's trying to lower the temperature while simultaneously raising it here in order to lower it. But the only thing more volatile than the thermostat are the principles of the MAGA universe, because all they stand for is standing behind whatever Trump does. Donald Trump's strike on Iran opened the hypocrisy floodgates for his disciples. Take former congressman and current season ticket holder to all high school cheerleading competitions, Matt Gaetz. In 2019, Gaetz applauded Trump for not pursuing an unforced war with Iran. Quote, "Mr. President, your closest allies in Congress join you in not wanting an endless, unfocused, unconstitutional war with Iran." Yet on Saturday, there he was tweeting that the strike against Iran makes Donald Trump a peacemaker. Or how about full-time 9/11 conspiracy theorist and part-time Trump whisperer Laura Loomer? Back in 2024, she denounced Nikki Haley for suggesting the U.S. bomb Iran. Quote, "The only person who has proven that he won't create more war is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the pro-peace candidate." But this weekend, she practically sent Donald Trump an edible arrangement to thank him for taking such courageous action. President Trump confirms the U.S. just bombed all 3 nuclear sites in Iran. He said all U.S. planes are now on their way home. Thank you, President Trump. And then, if the phrase "look at me" was a person, we've got Congresswoman Nancy Mace. Back in 2024, she wrote in strong support of Congress's autonomy. Quote, "Congress alone decides if we go to war. I join my colleagues on both sides insisting we follow the Constitution." And yet this weekend, she crawled right back into the protective warmth of Trump's colon, writing, "Just texted POTUS to congratulate him, greatest president in American history. I'm speechless. He has done what no one else could ever do." And I'm assuming she's not talking about Trump trying to sell merch from the Situation Room. Look, if you voted for Trump and feel like you were lied to about taking our country into war, I'm not here to say I told you so. But I am here to make the case that this is not the first nor the last time that this president will go back on his word. Donald Trump loves to say,
"Promises made, promises kept."
But I'm struggling to find any example of his keeping any of those promises. Promises made, promises kept is nothing more than a massive falsehood hidden inside a catchy slogan. It's the same as when your grandpa wears his juicy pants. We know behind his words, it's just a buttload of lies. And a buttload of lies is exactly what this administration is offering you. On the campaign trail, Trump promised to drive prices down, but if you happen to be in the market for something to drive, you may notice the opposite has happened. Trump promised to lower the deficit when he got into office, only to craft a big, beautiful bill that is slightly less attractive in person, thanks to it increasing the deficit by $3.5 trillion. This president ran as the law and order candidate, but one of his first moves after getting elected was pardoning all of the people who came to Washington and essentially took a shit on the phrase law and order. And now, after saying this on election night,
They said, "He will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars."
we find ourselves using a hell of a lot of bombs to not war. And Trump and his cronies saying his bombs are being used to prevent war is like Mike Johnson saying he watched all the porn so that there wouldn't be any porn left to tempt him. Donald Trump and the politicians who blindly follow him down every hypothetical path he takes are twisting themselves into pretzels to make it seem like every action he takes is simply part of some strategic master plan by a wise and omnipotent leader. But with every contradictory tweet or soundbite, it becomes increasingly clear that this is nothing more than a quest for power. To J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, and Donald Trump himself, you can keep claiming incessantly that you're taking principled stances for our country.
But you are not serious people.
In the meantime, if regime change is really what this administration is interested in, I don't think we can find anyone more deserving than these people. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.